Please join me in welcoming them. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We actually just want to begin by asking you to just tell us each about your loved ones and what the loss has been like for you and your families.
The loss for me, and I'm sorry. My son's name was Joshua Sandoval, and my name is Glenda Martin. The loss has been, for me, it's been devastating. Joshua Sandoval was the only son that I had. I never thought that I wouldn't have my son with me. They called me May the 27th at 3:40 in the morning. They told me that my son was shot. And I asked them, I says, well, who shot him? Who would hurt my son? He was such a sweet person. So I'm trying to figure out, why is he shot? They told me that someone followed him home from the club. And he went in his bedroom. They came inside the garage and they shot him in his bedroom. And they rushed him to the hospital. For the longest, we couldn't find out where he was. On the 27th of that morning, we did not know where Joshua was or anything. And so once I finally got to the hospital, before I got there, they told me that it wasn't bad. So I wasn't anticipating my son not being here. They told me that he needed surgery, that he was going to be fine. So I wasn't in a hurry to get to the hospital. So I took my time. Well, by the time I got ready to get up there, the surgeon was calling me. And he was saying, Ms. Sandoval, you need to get up there to the hospital, come up here quickly, because your son is in a bad place. And once he told me that, I just pulled over. I couldn't hardly drive to the hospital then. And then once I got there, they was telling me everything that was going on with him. And I got in there and I saw his body. It did not look like my son. And so I just went in there and I just started talking to the Lord about it. And I started praying for my son. And I kept saying, you know, Josh, every time you get sick, you want me here. And I says, I'm here with you. Your mom is here. And he was just laying there. He wasn't saying anything. And I just told the Lord, I says, God, I don't know, am I going to be able to get through this? I'm going to need your help. And so I'm just looking at him and I says, you know, I want to pray that you keep him here. But from the looks of things, I'm saying, I'm going to need to pray that you give me the strength to live without him. And I just kept looking at him and I just knew he was not going to make it. And so, you know, it's devastating to know that you only have one child. He didn't have any kids. I'll never be a grandmother. And I just had asked him last year, I said, Josh, when you gonna have some kids? He said, Mom, is you crazy? I'm not having no kids. I says, please. I wanted grandkids. I was looking forward to that. So I'm devastated that I'm not gonna be a grandmother and I would never get a chance to have a daughter-in-law. That for me is all over. And when I hear people talk about their grandkids and daughter-in-law, I just feel so bad. It's been horrible for me. Trying to live a life without my only child is devastating. Just to think that someone would take his life and not even regard his family. I am devastated every day. And the norm for me is not normal. I have to find a way to live life every day without my child. And I'm hurt. I don't some days know where to start. I'm just confused, and I like to run, and I run track, and I was like just Friday saying, I cannot believe my son is not in this earth realm. I'm devastated. I cannot believe it. So for me, it's hard. It's devastating for me.
Amy, can you tell us a little bit about your brother?
Yeah. So, my name's Amy Castillo, and this is my stepmom, Glenda, and Josh was our youngest brother, with my dad and Glenda. And he was born when I was 10 years old, so I have good memories of him. Such a sweet baby, cute as can be. We would take care of him. We would just fight over him. We would just love him so much. And he grew up to be a very kind, charismatic person, one of the funniest people that I've known. As I grew up being 10 years older, I didn't get to see him as much as I wanted to, starting my own family and, just having our own lives. And every day that I saw him was the best day of the year. I would give him a big hug. I wouldn't let him go, and it was times that were very treasured when I got to see him. And when I found out from my dad and Glenda that he was shot, I just couldn't believe it. I just thought, who would hurt him? Who would want to hurt such a sweet person? So that was Josh.
Lawrence, tell us about your mom. And I know she touched a lot of people's hearts.
My name is Lourdes Medina. I'm daughter of Martha Medina. My mother was the sweetest person you could ever meet. She had the kind of smile that would warm your heart. And she was the kind of person to be there always, not just for us as a family, but to our other extended family and her friends. She was the kind of person that if you were sick, she was quick to make you a homemade chicken soup so you could feel better. If you needed money for anything, if she felt it in her heart that she could help, she would rather give, I don't know, $50, $100 to whoever needed it instead of buying something for herself. She was the kind of grandmother to buy breakfast for her kids. As a matter of fact, that day that she was murdered, she was getting McDonald's for me and my baby. I remember telling her to not bother, that we could cook at my house and I could make her breakfast. But she really liked McDonald's coffee, and she said, no, that's fine. You have a lot on your plate. Take care of the baby. I'll be there in a minute. That was just the kind of person she was. Whatever she could help with, she would do it from the bottom of her heart. She was the glue to our family and the traditional Mexican grandmother that was just always making homemade meals for us. She was always the one that brought us together. It's been very, very hard this year without her, because my family I have not only lost my mother, I feel like I'm losing my family, and I'm still dealing with it at this point. Everybody's finding their own way without her, and it's really hard. We're learning to have relationships between us because she really was the glue to our family. It's been very hard because with her being murdered, it was not just our lives that were turned around, but everybody else's around us. We've lost each other as a family, especially now with the holidays coming up. It's very hard just to decide, where are we going to spend our holidays? How are we going to plan this out? She always had all the answers, and she was the one to bring us together in her house. It's been a lot of changes we've been going through.
We are lucky to call a city like Houston home. It's
Oops, technical error.
So it's been very hard to be without her. She was the only grandmother that my baby had left. Those first months without her were very, very hard for me as a mother because he was so used to being with her. And just seeing him ask for her all the time and me not having an answer, it was very hard. Now she was the only surviving grandparent that he had. So it's been very hard to know, and for me as a mother to accept that he will never know what a grandmother is.
Bob, I'm going to toss it to you. Tell us about your lovely daughter.
On January 25th of 2019, my family lost my beautiful 29-and-a-half-year-old daughter, who was murdered while setting up a garage sale at her home in Tomball, Texas. Not only did my family lose the only daughter that we had, but this community lost an amazing young woman who loved nothing more than to go to the hospital dressed up as a biker scout from Star Wars and visit oncology wards and bring smiles and joy to children. She never found a person in want that she didn't reach out to. She always gave whatever she could. She was such a joy and a light. She would reach out and buy coffees for police officers. I saw her one time pay for an entire table of veterans meal because she wanted them to have a good meal before they left on deployment. This was a young woman who did not live a dangerous life. She worked to support her ability to reach out and help others. And it's going to be 4 years this January. And I have to tell you that I cannot imagine how my family has not just fallen apart. The difference is the work that Crime Stoppers and the parents of murdered children have done to give my family some ground to stand on and some hope for the future. I pray that the people that did this to her face justice so that no one else in this room has to live through what we go through every day.
You know, Amy, I remember, you remember when you reached out to me? And you reached out to me on what? Facebook, right?
Facebook Messenger.
Did you expect me to respond?
I did not expect you to respond. My husband told me that I should reach out to Andy because he's really good with the community and Crime Stoppers. And I said, Andy Kahn doesn't want to talk to me. I just didn't think that we were important enough. We had no idea who murdered Josh. We were just lost. And he not only accepted my friend request, but he also messaged me back and gave me information, and I just was floored that he cared so much from the very beginning.
When you found out that the person that's charged with the murder of Joshua was supposed to have been in court that very same day, and then 2 weeks later he was charged in another murder when a couple was followed home from having dinner at the Capital City Grill in the Galleria area. And this guy followed them home all the way to League City and then allegedly shot and killed Jeffrey Johnson. So now this particular individual, not only with Joshua, but yet another person, and that's 2 capital murder charges. Then, I guess to add insult upon injury, he's out on bond. on 2 capital murder charges, which has never happened before in the history of crime, to my knowledge, having someone out on not 1 but 2 capital murder bonds, and then he was also out on another bond for aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon in Fort Bend County. So 3 different violent offenses, 2 capital cases, 3 different counties. What went through your mind?
I was shocked. I was angered when I found out. You guys told us when the day that he was supposed to get his ankle monitor, that's the day that he participated in a murder of my brother instead. I was appalled. I was disgusted with our criminal justice system, because how could this happen? And then just to know what happened 2 weeks after Josh, same event with another man, and then for him to have a bond, for him to be offered a bond with Josh was just like a punch in the gut, because he took my brother's life. And why is he able to get bonded out? My brother can't get out of our situation. We can't get out of our situation. We're in this for life, and he has the option of having somebody pay for him to get out of jail, which they did. And it was shocking to find out that he's out probably doing the same things that he was doing before.
Glenda, I remember talking to you, and I remember you just like kind of almost like, this is not real. How could this be? You remember?
I was in disbelief. I just couldn't believe it. That allowed him to get a bond, because my thought was a $500,000 bond he got for Josh, and his dad has money, and they threw everything they could after it to get him out of jail. And Vine alerted me that he was getting out for Thanksgiving, and I was devastated, because I don't get a chance to spend Thanksgiving with my son because of what he did. And with Jeffrey Johnson, it was $1 million bond, and his dad got him out again. So I'm just devastated about it. He shouldn't be able to walk with 2 capital offenses. It's just not right. And we're the ones paying the price for it. It's not right.
So we're talking to someone who's lost a daughter, lost a mom, lost a brother, lost their only son. And the stories really affect us, and it's why we do what we do. And so I want to toss the question to you all. Being on this side, paying the ultimate price, what role do you want our organization to have as you fight for justice? Because we're choosing to be as loud as we can be and as honest with the facts as we can be, because we understand that's what you all would like for us to do. But I want you to talk about what role you'd like for the organization to do for you.
So, when you have this kind of a thing happen to you, there's no way to understand what you're supposed to do. We had absolutely no clue. And on February 6th of 2019, a couple of days after my daughter's passing, we had a press conference at Crime Stoppers. And we finally had a glimpse into what our responsibility was. So what I've learned over the last 3 years in working with Andy and Sydney and the crew here at Crime Stoppers is that there are things that we can do as the families of the victims, but they're hard things. The hardest thing is to talk about my daughter, because that forces me to relive it. But the one thing that I would say that your organization can do is to continue doing what you do. You are singularly focused on assisting the victims, not only with the help of the Parents of Murdered Children's group, but your staff make sure that we get what we need to fight this fight. And without what you do and the way that you do it, the compassion and the professionalism and the never giving in, fighting for the victims. Without that, we're lost. We're sunk. None of us would have any hope. And we work really well with our law enforcement, talking with the district attorney, talking with anyone that'll help us. And Crime Stoppers, you're giving us resources to do that, and a platform like this to say my daughter's life is important to everyone here because she touched so many. We would not have the strength to do it. So as you go forward, continue to expand your programs, continue your victims outreach. Just be as fierce as you are, because that's what makes a difference for the victims. Because honestly, no one else does. No one else does.
Lords, you found out one of the suspects that was charged in your mother's murder was found as a result of a Crime Stoppers tip. I mean, what went through your mind when I remember telling you that? And again, it shows the reach that Crime Stoppers has, because we solve cases and we work with the public in getting out these cases, and you're seeing a direct result of Crime Stoppers in action right here with your mom.
Yes, I remember I felt a deep sense of relief that I know not every family in this room has gotten. I was so thankful. I remember when Andy told me, I remember looking up at the sky, thanking God for such an organization, because every time I've met someone that is part of Crime Stoppers, I've seen nothing but genuine, caring people. Like he said here, they care. And I remember that when we were first contacted by Crime Stoppers, I felt like I was drowning. And when Crime Stoppers reached out, I felt like somebody had handed me a floaty. It was such a relief. And then to know that the suspect was caught because of a tip line. I remember that night I prayed for even though I don't know what organization or people are donating and making all of this possible, I prayed for all those people at night and said, thank you, God. Thank you for all those wonderful hearts, because they have all come together to make this possible. And thank you for also the people that are out there that open their ears, that open their hearts and put themselves in our positions and that speak out.
Sadly, the loss endured by these families has been felt by many, many other Houstonians. Please turn your attention to the screens. The video you are about to see pays tribute to those who lost their lives to defendants allegedly released on multiple felony bonds, PR bonds, and/or bond forfeiture over the last few years, as well as surviving families of homicide victims who are here tonight. Families, please join us near the stage as your loved ones are called. And thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.